Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news.
Jay, what are you doing, man?
This is my video, bro.
No, you're going to do yours later.
Oh.
I was going to go first and then you do yours in a bit.
Right, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Oh dear, oh dear. You can't find the help these days, can you? Right. Axel Disasi to Crystal Palace is a here we go. Aston Villa remain interested in Nicholas Jackson, but there is now a tug of war happening between Villa, Atletico Madrid and Napoli. More updates about the Enzo Fernandez saga, with Man City wanting him to force his way out of the club, but also Xabi Alonso coming out and telling us how he envisages using him in his current system. Chelsea are coming close to handing out new contracts to more key players, and Jamie Carragher has a wild hot take about Chelsea's title challenge. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And eagle-eyed viewers will notice that I have commandeered Jay from Talking Chelsea's office. I will be here for the next few days. And although I might be having a little holiday, the Chelsea news never stops. So, as ever, let's find out what's going on in the world of Chelsea today. So, starting off, Axel Disasi to Crystal Palace, here we go. Posted by Chelsea Dodgers via Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea will get a loan fee and wages covered by Palace Medical this morning. So, Axel Disasi is still a Chelsea player. Oh, why? I think I know why, and I'm tinfoil hatting all over the place as we get closer to the end of the window. I have mentioned it already, I talked about it a little bit, but this just seems to confirm it for me. I think that Chelsea are greasing the wheels for the Adam Wharton move, right, from Crystal Palace. And I'll tell you why. So obviously the interesting thing about yesterday was David Ornstein reported that Man City had made an inquiry for Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace came out and said, absolutely not, no, we're not selling him. Then Steve Parish came out and said, absolutely no, we're not selling him. So they're taking a hardline stance at the end of the day, and that seems to really cut off the opportunity, right? But I still think that there's a chance because football is football. And I just think with Badadig Barley going over there to negotiate something with Steve Parish, the owner of Crystal Palace, I don't think that was 52 mil for Maxence Lacroix and a loan deal for Axel Disasi. Badadig Barley only gets involved when something big is happening, right? We saw it with the Morgan Rogers deal earlier in the season and in the window, and obviously what came alongside that as well was the loan with an obligation to buy for Alejandro Garnacho, and potentially what we are hearing is we're going to get into more in a minute, Nicholas Jackson to Aston Villa at the end of the window. So I think City made the inquiry for Adam Wharton to try and put pressure on us because they know that he's a target that we're after. And in order to get us to lower the price for Enzo Fernandez, which is something else we're going to talk about in today's video. It's all connected. It's literally all connected, all these final moves. All roads lead back to Enzo Fernandez. Mate, we're never going to stop talking about this guy. But as of right now, what we do know is that Axel Disasi will play at Crystal Palace next season on loan. No obligation to buy, no option. The only money that's going to be dealt with at all is a very small loan fee. Initially, that was going to be 4 mil was the offer, but Crystal Palace were like, no, that's too expensive. So it's probably even less than that. And they're going to cover his wages, which is like not a huge amount, but it will help with the squad cost ratio at the end of the day. So regardless of the tinfoil hat stuff, Axel Disasi to Crystal Palace, at the very least, it means he's not on the books for next season. Do you know what I mean? It's officially 100% going to happen. So guys, let me know what you think about that one in the comments. And guys, if you have made it this far into today's episode of the Stamford Sync, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Nicholas Jackson. So, Chelsea Dodgers posted this via Fabrizio Romano. Aston Villa remain very interested in Nicholas Jackson. They love him, but it depends on club-to-club agreement. The message also sent from Chelsea to Napoli and Atletico is a permanent sale only. So that's really important with some of the other news that we're going to get into. Like I say, man, I think, for me it makes sense because the times line up a little bit too perfectly. We announced Morgan Rogers, the Here We Go, was on the 18th of July. The 1st of September, in the final hours, will be 46 days after that. So that would then allow Aston Villa to bank all of the profit, from the Morgan Rogers sale, and then be able to amortise Nicholas Jackson's fee over the course of at least 5 years, if that's how long or at most 5 years, sorry, if that's how long they give him the contract for. So I guess there might be a spanner in the works with this, though, because as this says, there is interest from Napoli and Atletico Madrid. And what is going on with the Atletico Madrid stuff is quite interesting. Pice posted this via Marca, the Spanish sports publication. Atletico Madrid director Matteo Alemany sorry if I've butchered that, by the way, has flown to London to meet Chelsea in an attempt to loan Nicholas Jackson. Atletico have the advantage of Jackson wanting to return to Spain. So obviously Nicholas Jackson made his name at Villarreal under Unai Emery, being transitioned from a left winger into a striker. And it makes sense that he'd probably do quite well in Spain, to be honest, because the defence is not quite as robust in general across the league, obviously. So, issue here is a loan deal, right? And obviously in the last tweet, Chelsea have said to Atletico and to Napoli, permanent only. We're only looking at permanent deals. So, again, lots of games of chicken at the moment, because if Nicholas Jackson turns round and says, I don't want to go to Aston Villa, I only want to go to Atletico Madrid because I want to go back to Spain, and they're only offering a loan, which would probably come with some sort of fee, then that might put a spanner in the works of the Aston Villa deal. If he says, I'm not interested in going there, I only want to go there. But the problem that leaves him with is if we hold fast on that and he remains with the squad, then he may well not get any game time. Do you know what I mean? So it's a really precarious situation at the moment that everyone needs to kind of tread carefully around. But at the end of the day, if the Aston Villa thing will be open until deadline day, until the very end. Do you know what I mean? So Nicholas Jackson's kind of got until then to see if he can make this happen. But Aston Villa will probably always be on the table. And at the end of the day, the other difference is the money that we're talking about, right? The other loans and obligation loans and stuff we're talking about, Alejandro Garnacho, we're going to make a tiny bit of profit on that deal when it becomes permanent. Benoit Badiashile, it's not a huge amount of money. Axel Disasi, even if it was an obligation, which there isn't, it wouldn't be a huge amount of money. Nicholas Jackson's book value is probably somewhere in and around 20 mil, if not a little bit less at the moment. So if we're selling him for 60, 65 mil, we're making a big chunk of profit on that. So it doesn't really serve us to loan him now when his value is still this high based on the market that's going on at the moment. So if we loan him to Atletico Madrid and he has another Bayern Munich season, his value will go down, won't it? Maybe the market is crazy next window as well, who knows? But we know right now what we can get for him, and it is not in our interest to loan him to another club where he may or may not do well. So it's a really interesting one. I want to know what you think about it with the Nicholas Jackson situation. For me, I don't think he'd risk staying at Chelsea at this point. Do you know what I mean? Because if you look at João Pedro's absolutely smashing it. Obviously, we've got Danny Welbeck, and there's not going to be a huge amount of games across the season. We've got lots and lots and lots of players who can play in the half spaces and out wide and stuff now. So he will probably look at that and being like, even if I stay here, I'm probably just not going to get much in the way of minutes. So you would have thought if he goes to Aston Villa, if they're going to sell Ollie Watkins to Al Hilal, then they're looking for a first team striker. So his opportunity at Aston Villa, albeit maybe not as flashy as Atletico Madrid, he's going to get game time with a manager that already likes him and knows how to play him. So for me, like I say, all roads for this one lead towards Aston Villa. At Napoli, look, I just don't expect to see it. You look at the Benoit Badiashile deal. If we'd wanted 30 million euros for Benoit Badiashile, that's not a huge amount of money. They don't want to pay it. The Como deal took a really long time to negotiate. Roma were a bit of a nightmare to negotiate with. They wanted Garnacho on loan with no obligation and stuff as well. Italian teams aren't looking to come and spend the money. You've only got to look at the Inter Palestra. Obviously, they've got Jed Spence now, which is a great signing for them. But they weren't willing to pay the money we were willing to pay for Palestra. And if we're looking at Palestra now being like, 50 mil for that is looking wicked. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's one of those. I don't think the Italian clubs, Napoli in particular, are going to come and pay the money. They obviously want a loan. I don't think Atletico Madrid will either. They're kind of going to rely on Nicholas Jackson potentially trying to be like, I only want to go to Spain. I don't want to go anywhere else. So, interesting. We'll be definitely fascinating to see how this one unwinds. I want to know what you guys think about it in the comments. Moving on to talk about Enzo Fernandez. We're going to talk a little bit more about Enzo Fernandez because this is the Enzo Fernandez show where we talk about Enzo Fernandez every single day. Pice posted this via Sam Lee from The Athletic. The original post was from Sam Lee saying there is still some leverage with Fernandez because he wants to go and any City offer would still represent a huge amount of money. Just depends on how much Chelsea want to stick to their guns, and yes, they would be able to ask for more money. City would be hoping Fernandez can force it, and Pice said Manchester City's The Athletic reporter says Enzo wants to go and they're hoping he forces a move. So this kind of ties back into the thing I was talking about, Adam Wharton. It's all like a game of chicken at the moment. Like City, and I'm not even really sure why, to be honest, because it looks like they're dropping 100 mil on Buwadi. It looks like they're about to drop 100 mil on this Palmeiras winger. And what? Just pay the 120 mil for Enzo Fernandez, and you're making all of this money. You've just sold Savinho for 80 mil. You're looking at getting Marmoush out as well. You know, you've sold Tiani Reinders, you've sold Rodri as well. You know what I mean? It's like there's money flying around at City at the moment. It feels like this may be now a result of the situation that's gone on between Maresca and Man City and stuff, where maybe there's some bad blood going on. And I thought that maybe we'd have just all, you know, kind of wiped our hands of it and moved on, and we can all be not friends, but, you know, we can be professional with each other. But the Enzo Fernandez saga seems to just be dragging anyone that's involved in it into muddy waters. And now, by the sounds of it, City want Enzo Fernandez to force a move, which it looks like he's been trying to do for a long time. Like all of the Javier Pastore stuff, all of the, you know, everything that's been going on all seems to have been about lowering Enzo Fernandez's price. I even think the City bid for Wharton was an attempt to get us to lower Enzo Fernandez's price by them being like, well, we'll go out and buy this player then because he's going to be cheaper unless you lower your price for Fernandez. It all makes sense, and it's all just getting a little bit messy, but there is a little bit more to talk about as well. So in terms of replacements, if we do get Fernandez, Pice posted this via The Guardian. Chelsea have identified Alex Scott and Adam Wharton as possible replacements for Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea know the situation is fluid, and City are currently weighing up whether to make a move. So the interesting thing about City weighing up whether to make a move is there's no club-to-club contacts yet, but they are in daily conversations with Javier Pastore. So something's happening. Do you know what I mean? Something's happening. And is this Javier Pastore and City cooking up ways in order to get Chelsea to lower their price for Enzo Fernandez, which may well explain the Wharton move, right? Maybe that was an idea that Javier Pastore cooked up with City in order to try and get Chelsea to lower the money. You know, Adam Wharton and Alex Scott seem like the targets that make the most sense, to be honest. Obviously, we know Xabi Alonso already likes Alex Scott because we've had a bid knockback, and the talks about Wharton have been going on for a very long time. One thing I think, the next tweet I'm just about to bring up also solidifies why I think Wharton is the kind of midfielder that Xabi Alonso is looking for to partner Moises Caicedo as well, because via Bobby Vincent, Pice posted this from Xabi Alonso talking about how he wants to use Enzo Fernandez. Alonso suggests Enzo Fernandez may play deeper in midfield, coming from not starting too high, starting from a build-up position, a playmaker. I think that when he is with the ball, he has the qualities to link the short passes, but the long ones as well. He's able to see short and the further players, and from there he can progress. So Xabi Alonso, I've literally been saying this for ages, man. And Xabi Alonso wants a deep line distributor for that role. That is not what Moises Caicedo is. Moises Caicedo has some of that to his game, but this is literally Xabi Alonso saying what he would do with Enzo Fernandez if he keeps him. So if we were going to sell Enzo Fernandez, then you're looking for a player that has these attributes. A player to build up from deep with short and long passes to connect the play together and facilitate your attack. So Xabi Alonso is literally coming out here validating what I've been saying for all this time. Nice one, Xabi, appreciate it. But that is why, for me, Adam Wharton makes the most sense. I think with Alex Scott, I think he can play both roles, but what you get with Alex Scott is he can get forward, he's a ball carrier, you know, lots of energy, you know, kind of somewhere between Moises Caicedo and Adam Wharton, which will be a really good option to have in the midfield. If we're going to get both of them, we would need to be, you know, Essigo's going to have to go, and maybe even Lavia gets a loan or something, I don't know. Or Lavia's just not necessarily primed to get loads of game time because of the injuries. But for me, Adam Wharton makes sense because everything that Xabi Alonso has just explained about what he wants to do with Enzo Fernandez is what Adam Wharton is already good at. Starting from deep, not bombing on and trying to get into the box to score goals, being, you know, short passes, long balls, distribution. Also, that allows Moises Caicedo to have more freedom, right? Because he won't be locked to that sixth position because his partner midfielder won't be bombing forward all the time. So look, for me, Xabi Alonso's kind of saying it here, whether it is that we keep Enzo Fernandez or whether it is that we go in for Adam Wharton, the partner that he wants for Moises Caicedo is someone that is going to be a deep-lying playmaker, essentially. And like I say, Enzo Fernandez has the ability to do that. The issue with him is like the athleticism, I assume. Like, you know, the midfield doesn't feel quite as robust with Enzo Fernandez partnering Moises Caicedo, but when Adam Wharton seems just a little bit more robust to me in that respect. So I'd love to know what you think about it. But moving on from the Enzo Fernandez saga, good news. Pice posted this via Nazarkin Seller. Chelsea intend to hand out new contracts to more players after the window closes, with Colwill and Estevao among those likely to be considered by the club. So this is phenomenal news, because what is just as important as buying new players and selling players that are on the books and whatever, it is about solidifying the core of the team that is working and that you want to build on. We've already been doing it for a while. Cole Palmer's on a really long deal now. João Pedro's just been signed up to a new deal. Before that was Moises Caicedo. Before that was Reece James. A lot of the key players in the squad are already getting these deals. Levi Colwill 100% deserves a new contract. And Esteval, it's an interesting one, because he's only been with us for a year, but Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson both got new contracts after their first year as a reward for their good performances. Albeit Esteval was injured for a lot of the season and didn't get to feature a lot, I think he still kind of blew us away a lot of the time for an 18-year-old kid, do you know what I mean? So really impressive from Esteval there. And I think it's really important that aside from just looking at all the transfer stuff, we're also looking to solidify the futures and get these guys to commit to Chelsea for the long term. So guys, let me know what you think about that. And last but not least, we're going to talk about hot takes. So before we get into this one, Hot Takes is obviously part of the Talking Chelsea podcast, and the new episode has released today where me and Jay talk about our season expectations and make a load of crazy predictions about things we might happen in the Chelsea squad throughout the season. In the Hot Takes section today, we also managed to get a wonderful hot take from Cavcast View, a phenomenal YouTuber in his own right in the Chelsea space, and it was great to talk about what he had to say as well. So after you finish watching this video, head over to Talking Chelsea and go and check out the new episode of the Talking Chelsea podcast. But talking about hot takes, Jamie Carragher's got one. And if you're like me and you're a Chelsea fan, every single time you hear Jamie Carragher mention Chelsea or Jamie Carragher and Chelsea in the same breath, normally a groan or a sigh or a what's he said this time. And do you know what I mean? Because it's I love the fact that Jamie Carragher was so keen to lambast the amount of money that Chelsea have spent, but he's not talking about that so much recently, is he? Because Liverpool spent £500 million in the last summer transfer window, and they're looking to still spend quite a lot if they go out for Bradley Barcola for like 150 mil or something. So Jamie Carragher's not talking about the money anymore. What Jamie Carragher is doing is making crazy hot takes about what he expects Chelsea to do. Pice posted this via Jamie Carragher on the Overlap. Premier League hot take: Chelsea challenge for the Premier League title. So look, for me, what this is Jamie Carragher deflecting from Liverpool, right? Because he wants to take the pressure away from Liverpool, who are in a rebuild at the moment. New manager, holes in the squad, stuff to figure out, new players to bring in. And I think Andoni Iraola is a great manager. I think he fits and suits Liverpool really, really well, because I think they will love his basketball style of football, and potentially it could go really well, but potentially because of that basketball style of football and their kind of shaky defence at the moment, there could be issues and there could be a teething period in order to get them kind of, used to the style of football and start kind of firing on all cylinders. So Jamie Carragher, is it just Jamie Carragher being nice to Chelsea? Because look, with Xabi Alonso, he will be a big fan, obviously having played with him. A lot of Liverpool supporters really wanted Xabi Alonso as their next manager. But Liverpool obviously identified Andoni Iraola as a better fit for the style of football for the players that they've got. So does Jamie Carragher, is he really looking at Chelsea being like, we should be on for a title challenge? Or is he just trying to take the pressure off of Liverpool and pile it onto Chelsea in a very Jamie Carragher-esque fashion? Guys, let me know what you think about it in the comments. And guys, that is it. We're going to wrap it up for today, but I want to know what you think about everything that we've talked about today. So, Axel Disasi to Crystal Palace, here we go. Talk to me about my tin hat conspiracy. I think it's all related to Adam Wharton. Next up, Nicholas Jackson, obviously now links with Aston Villa in the final closing hours of the window, but also Napoli and Atletico Madrid are looking to get a loan move for him, with Atletico in particular trying to leverage the fact that he might want to return to Spain. Interesting one there. So, Enzo Fernandez, it's all just still happening, isn't it? But I guess the interesting thing from today is we've kind of got some noise from a Man City journalist, a specific Man City journalist, that City want Enzo to force the move. And that kind of makes sense when you think that there's no club-to-club contacts yet, but City have been having daily conversations with his agent, Javier Pastore. And then there's the stuff like the Wharton bid. And, it seems like they're doing anything they can to bring his price down. Chelsea are looking to offer players new deals, including Levi Colwill and Esteval Willian, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And Jamie Carragher with the crazy hot take of Chelsea being on for a title challenge. Let me know what you think about it. Nice one, guys. Thanks very much for sticking around until the end of the video. If you did, I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.